Hello, my name is Alex, and welcome to the webinar. We're just waiting for people to join in. So, just to let you know, I'm from the West Country of England, and please do let me know in the chat where you are connecting in from today. It'd be good to know where you're from. You know, it's said about the West Country that it's the home of the cream teas, and my preference. Welcome from Louisiana, yes, um, the home of the cream teas. And being an outsider, I shouldn't really say what my preference is for whether I like the cream or the jam first. Um, so I was tempted to say I should be neutral, but no, I like I like it cream first and jam second. So apologies if anybody's here from Cornwall. Right. So we're just waiting for a few people to join us. We'll just give them a few more seconds, and we will make a start. So I'll now share my screen and we will get going, shall we? So to make sure you're in the right place, today I'm talking about travel consultancy, specifically how you can make an income. And at the end, you'll have the opportunity to learn more about the academy I run and working with me. So there are one or two things. I just want to set a few expectations. So I have a few aims. So I'd firstly like to provide you with much advice, guidance, and information as I can to tell you a bit about the academy. And if you have any questions as we go along, please either pop them in the chat, or if you'd like me to specifically answer them at the end, there's a Q&A section. So please do pop them in there. Now, there are a few reasons why people are struggling these days in the travel industry. So I'd like to share a few of these with you now. And I wonder whether they will be, they resonate with you. Firstly, it's wondering whether clients are just going to come and find you on their own. It's using or wondering about the tools you may need to do this. Are you going to be relying on technology only? What parts of the travel market do you need to think about? You know, the travel market is developing all the time. And do you really need to be the master of all travel? And these are things I'm going to be covering today in a little bit more detail. But before we get to that, it'd be good to know which of these, I'm going to run a little poll now, which of these resonate with you? Please vote now, as they say. Is it one of these things, or is it all of these things? And it's interesting. It's really interesting that usually it's a mixture, but it'd be good to know where you all stand. So give you a few seconds to respond. Please do let me know. Yeah. So the winner so far is how to get clients. So yeah, we're definitely going to be covering that. So there you go. Let's move on, as they say. And the three areas I'm going to be covering today, so the five things I'm raising here, is around how you might adopt some strategy, how you can optimize the business, and what might the journey be like. But before that, a little bit about myself. Well, I'm the founder and visionary of the Seven Figure Traveller, and my commitment is to ensure that you're able to turn your travel passion into a thriving venture. And the years I've spent gaining experience and insight, well, my goal for you is to provide you with practical knowledge and strategies. So whether you're just starting out or are striving for travel consultancy success. And over the many decades I've been traveling, well, it's been a privilege to explore our world. It's both extensive and diverse. It contains challenges for sure, but it also has hidden gems. And the most important thing I've discovered is that you can still turn what you know into a profitable venture. And using my wealth of real world experience, business insight, I can provide you with practical advice on how you can build a sustainable business. Now, at first glance, it may seem unrelated that I have a background in IT and sport, but it's given me a unique perspective of travel and an understanding of the importance of effective planning and using the right technology. You see, every detail matters, and I'm going to show you how you can leverage these skills. And honing what works and what doesn't work is important. And one of the things I've realized is that it's often the voice of travelers that aren't heard. And therefore, my mission is to change and amplify your unique voice and experience so that together we can bring the best version of you, whether you're seeking personal fulfillment or building a travel consultancy to be proud of. How does that sound? So, so why is now the right time to be talking about this? Well, we all know there's been a pandemic and several lockdowns, and in the UK, it was known as yeah, we had several lockdowns. And what happened during these periods was that there was, as a result of it, it created this pent-up desire, and a bit like an old-fashioned kettle. You leave it on the hot stove long enough, it will whistle uncontrollably. And because it created this strong desire, this is one of the reasons why it's such a great time to be monetizing travel. And not to take any action is like missing out. I mean, sure, you can wait to a different time, but when's it going to be like this again? It's a bit like the story of the tree. You know, when was the best time to plant a tree? Well, it was 20 years ago. When's the next time? Well, now. But maybe you're not thinking about that. Maybe you just want to know how much you can make from this. Well, it depends. It depends how much effort you're willing to put in, how much time, whether you're willing to invest in yourself. Because in 6 to 9 months, you can make good money from this. Now, it's said that there are opportunities all around us, but maybe you're wondering, well, isn't the market really competitive? Well, if all you need to do is to learn how to differentiate, isn't that a good reason? But isn't there a level of economic uncertainty? Well, if you could create a stable income, the one that provides financial security, wouldn't that also be a good reason? The thing is, right now, a lot of travelers are feeling underserved. And in the UK, when there were lockdowns, it was known as furloughing. Businesses had to go behind technology. And the result of that, as far as travelers was concerned, is that these companies became invisible, giving the appearance of overusing technology. the kind of disconnect, if you will. And in this picture showing several aircraft at Heathrow, the thing about modern aircraft is that they are packed with technology. But the thing about them is they still have pilots, they still have staff serving people. You still need people to load and unload food and your luggage. You still need people to refuel and move aircraft around an airfield. And it's a great example of a balance between people and technology. But when it comes to how travelers are being served, there's this mismatch, this feeling of mismatch and disconnect. And this is why it is a great opportunity to be a travel consultant. So I hope that makes sense. So let's go into the first section and talk a little bit about strategy. So one of the things I get told about is that there's not being clear on a number of areas, and that's how to have a well-defined structure, how to navigate complex roadmaps, and how you can build a strong support system, a system that can guide you. Because without any of these three elements, it can feel like you've been cast adrift and unsure how you can build a travel business. So let's have a look at these a little more closely. So what do we mean by structure? Well, it means establishing clear goals and objectives, the what and the why. It's about making choices about your target market. And if you miss anything out, it's effectively missing out on your unique value and your growth opportunity. And without applying them, it can provide feelings of overwhelm and wondering how you can build and grow a business. Now, this is not the only way to grow a business, because in time, obviously, we hope to build businesses, and you may think about where you're going to get other people, and it's effectively not leaving things to chance. When I was working with John, he had no idea where to begin. He knew he loved travel, but he was unsure how he would turn his passion into a new direction. And he was basically struggling to ask the right questions. So when we worked together what I called asking and listening. In other words, how to frame the questions. And essentially, it's about building relationships with people through conversations. And if you ever get stuck having conversations, I always say think about the three W's and the H, the what, the where, the when, and the how. So let's look at a few examples that I looked at with John. So if you have clients who want to go on a tennis group holiday, they love the restaurants, but not the taxi rides. You might ask them what resorts they like to go to, but if you want to tease out the taxi ride issues, you also need to be checking in on the important facilities that they look for in the resorts. If you've got clients who love islands but are not great on small planes, you might ask people when they want to go. But if you want to ensure they have a smooth ride, you also need to be asking about the aspects of travel they wish to avoid. It's not unusual for clients to have favorite brands, so you might ask them what chains they like. However, if you're looking to enhance their experience, you also need to be asking about the optional extras, perhaps that special occasion that your clients wish to celebrate with their children. Now, all these things together add up to getting a picture about your client's needs. And when it's done well, it's sometimes referred to as predictive service. But I think the real magic here is asking the right questions. And this is something that John is now much clearer on. So I hope this makes sense. So the second area to look at is roadmaps. So we've talked about relationships, But there's more to roadmaps than this. It's about identifying the niche you wish to work in, your target market, planning, marketing, finance, and compliance. It's essentially a system to avoid potholes. Nobody likes driving over them, so why should we accept them anywhere else? And it's about not missing out the steps. There may be lots of steps, but you need to at least call in to each destination along the way. And not having all the steps in place is a bit like having a jigsaw puzzle with some of the pieces missing. You risk having not the whole picture, or the worst case scenario is the whole thing falls apart. So it's about knowing about all the right elements and about going deeper when you need to. Now, one thing I get told quite a bit is there's way too much information and noise out on the internet, and it can cause confidence issues. And one thing you could do to mitigate this is to focus on the area that means the most to you and follow, a series of steps in order to reach the outcome you're looking for. Another area that sometimes gets overlooked is the roles that consultants play in the putting on of trips. I once had the pleasure a few years ago of visiting a desert in Australia, and it truly is a place where you can appreciate both its beauty and its isolation, but you're not necessarily aware of what it took to put on. Now, it's not about scaring the punters, but I just remember vividly having admired the sort of the red desert and looking at the road disappearing into the shimmering distance. I looked back at the coach I got off, and I suddenly noticed this large pipe at the side of the coach. There was an aerial and a satellite dish, and there was enough food and water on this coach to sustain 50 odd people for days on end. So yeah, you do need to be mindful of the services you're providing, but it's not the only area mindfulness counts, because we can spend so much time, can't we, thinking about other people, that we can often forget to think about ourselves, because we deserve a roadmap as much as the service we're providing others. This was the case when I was working with Joyce. She had a travel shop, and she opened a second travel shop. And well, she was so fixated on running the second shop, she forgot to check in about her employees. And she was so fixated, as I said, that she was micromanaging them, and she ended up wondering why it was difficult to keep her employees. So when we worked together on what I call trust and process. And essentially, it was letting go of the reins a little to allow the people that work for her to find a broader perspective. Because let's face it, if you're willing to trust someone enough to employ them, you should be also willing to allow them to develop their own broader outlook. And it works not just for them, but it works the same way for you. It's about gaining new experiences. And if we remember back to when we were younger, this was something that was assumed, wasn't it? It was assumed that as a young person we would play out the future, because it would influence the experiences we'd have in later lives. So it matters. New experiences matter just as much in later life, and I'm happy to report that Joyce is much more comfortable running a second shop than she was before. Now that we've looked at the importance of having structure and a well-defined roadmap, let's look at the next vital pillar, which is called support. Now, support can be both exciting and challenging, But of course, it needs to be the right kind of support. Now, support is more than just getting people unstuck. It's about plugging people into a network of individuals that can provide you with mentorship and guidance around navigating uncharted waters, about providing you guidance, because without it, you can end up with gaps in your knowledge, facing challenges and perhaps missing opportunities because of it. And it's worth remembering that a support journey is not meant to be a solitary one, because it's there to provide you with assistance in ways that can help you grow and navigate and provide those opportunities. So next, we're going to go a bit deeper and a bit more specific about how you can transform your business ambitions. And one individual I work with called Jason was having problems with his travelers who were telling them that they were not being listened to. And it harks back to what I was saying a little bit earlier about lockdowns, about how businesses were forced to adjust and go online. They kind of retreated in a way. And Jason's customers, as a result, were feeling a little underserved. So me and Jason worked on what I call the power of listening. And this is essentially being willing to ask maybe one question and shut up, because clients are a lot smarter than we sometimes give them credit for. And they're much, today they're much more willing to go off and try things themselves. And when we do get the opportunity to speak to them, they're often a great source of information. What have they been trying? But the best kinds of clients are those who don't really have a great deal of time. They are time poor individuals. But these aren't the only kinds of potential clients. You've got people who are willing to do some things themselves, but don't really want to be bothered with the more complex trip planning. And there are those who simply lack any confidence around this. But the thing that binds all these people together is that they're generally either time poor, or they will benefit, even if they don't explicitly ask for it, they will benefit from getting their time back. And this is a really important aspect in in serving people. So I hope that makes sense. So let's summarize this section by talking what's important here. So these days, more than ever, clients are seeking a connection with people. And it's not just, it's not just because they are, people only say accessing people via the internet. People want to feel a true connection with the people that are serving them. And the thing that they like to see is the uniqueness of the people that they're helping them. And in this regard, visibility is really, really important. And I've highlighted it because I'm going to refer back to it. And when it's done right, this is something really customers love. And the one thing I wanted to highlight here is a number, 5 billion. And that this year it is expected that 5 billion people are going to step on an aeroplane at least once this year. To put it another way, that's 5 out of every 8 people on Earth. And this is the highest ratio that's ever been in human history. So if you want to have a chance with any of these 5 billion, visibility is an incredibly important part of this. And at the end of this session, I'm going to be offering you a chance to have a chat to me. And it's about being open to change. It's about talking through a process and how you can work with me and get any of your questions answered. It's also being willing to stop everything else and commit to one thing and trusting a process. So here's a question for you. Are you achieving all the travel outcomes you desire? Because if not, this might be an opportunity to have a chat to me if you want to know how you're going to make, how you're going to get yourself in front of some of the 5 billion people. If you want already in a position that you'd like to know the answer to that, then don't wait until the end of the webinar. Do book a call. I have 10 slots open today, so you can either follow the web address there or hover your phone over the QR code. And also, let me just pop it in the chat. If it will let me. So it's bit.ly/traveler-discovery. So let me just work out why it is not playing with me. Okay, I shall work that out and make sure we put it in before the end of the session. Okay, so let's jump into the next part, which is optimizing. So what's this all about? Well, it's really about adjusting, how you might adjust and refine aspects of the travel business. So adjusting is what's known as achieving your optimum potential, or to put it another way, to strategically adjust. And one area which I'm finding that's ineffective is personal visibility, which I mentioned a short while ago. And the consequences of not being visible enough is not being able to engage your customers, not being able to establish trust and authority. And it's essentially missing the chance to create and develop your brand. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, it's a crowded market, well, maybe it's time to be more specific. Instead, why not consider specificity and visibility? Because together, they're like holding a bunch of keys. When you have them and use them, they're a bit like a passport to another world. Now, I used to think that window shopping was a made-up thing. So I determined to go to my local high street and find out whether this happens or not. And so I found a shop that had products and services that I was reasonably interested in, and in I went. And I joined a queue and then turned round, and pretty soon people were looking through the window. Now, there's a psychology to this, because if people are willing to put their noses up against the window, they've already made a kind of silent decision about the products and the services inside that shop. What they want to know now is if they will like the person who would sell those products and services. And it's really quite an important aspect of the game, if we should call this a game. And visibility, therefore, plays several roles, which includes the items on screen. But the most important role visibility plays is to make people make decisions. Now, nobody likes to be surrounded by people who can't make decisions. And in a shop type situation, you therefore have to be happy with people walking by, right? You want people to make decisions. So the question is, how do you recreate this online? So visibility and decision making is also, if not more important, when you move yourself online. So let's look at the other side of the equation, which is the content. So when it comes to content, clearly you don't want to be vague or confusing. And let's bust a few myths here. You don't want to be the same as everyone else, and you certainly don't want to be matching them. And when you collect it all together, it is a series of elements, okay? But the most important thing, a bit like visibility, that content also performs a similar role to visibility, in that we are looking for our customers to make a decision. We need decision making here, and we are playing a role in that game. Now, when I was working with a lady called Chloe, she was planning and enacting trips for her clients, and she sent them to the lovely city in the West Country called Bristol. It's in the southwest of England. It's a place of beautiful rolling hills and a famous bridge by Isambard Kingdom Brunel. But the problems didn't begin until the clients were set out on a return journey. It was chaotic. People invaded the railway lines. The train broke down. And when it eventually arrived at the city of Exeter, the train provider also was struggling with replacement trains, and it was all connected. But what was actually happening on that day? There was an extreme heat event. So what I was working with Chloe with was how one might adjust and prepare for situations like this. How are you going to react to change? Now, she could have advised her clients simply to wait an hour, when maybe there would have been another service to take them on to the next destination. But the most important aspect we worked on is actually, it's about setting expectations in advance of the journey the clients are taking. Because if you know, for instance, that a train company may suffer or have problems during extreme heat events, it's about setting the proper expectations, having a plan B, because what your clients want to hear when they call you during these events is a calm and a calm voice who is already prepared and can can pass on the next steps. So I hope this makes sense, because how you're able to adjust events for your clients really makes a difference. So we've talked about adjusting. Let's talk a bit about refining. So refining is essentially the smaller parts, and I had the pleasure of visiting a regional airport also in the southwest of England. It handles roughly 10 million passengers a year. It has 12 airlines serving the airport, with one airline in particular being the most popular. And when I visited its bright and single and airy terminal, there was already a sense of tension in the air. I could hear luggage trolleys being bunched into other trolleys. Voices were being raised. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, by the time these people reach the front of the queue, they're going to need a second trip to get over the first trip that they haven't gone on yet. So how might they have done this differently? Well, they could have shown up a little bit earlier when the queues were perhaps a bit shorter. Perhaps this airline had an online check-in system. My goodness. And perhaps all they needed to do was to just show up and drop their bags off at a much shorter queue. But if you have any experience of low-cost airlines, you'll probably realize that sometimes you're lucky to get a seat, right? So if you are already aware, and this is really the crucial part here, it's about being more aware of your clients and knowledge. So if you know that they are nervous when it comes to queuing, you might consider sending them to another airport, even if it's an hour or two further away. Because if you're traveling somewhere for business, you want to arrive ready, to be the best version of yourself. If you're going on a holiday or a vacation, you want to arrive relaxed, ready to, get the best out of your spare time, which is, your time is valuable, right? You want it to be a good experience. And really the point of all this adjusting and refining, or, having the ability to take all these things into account is really recognizing that there is one thing to be aware of in all this, and that is change is inevitable. Yeah. And there is a saying that goes along with this, is that change is inevitable, but how we react to change is optional. And this is really an area we can really help our customers with. And whilst some businesses will say, well, why should I talk to my customers anymore? They've already purchased the product. They've just got to suffer the rest of everybody else at the airport. Well, no, certainly not. I think it's worth, if you want your customers to come back to you, it's worth investing more time and learning about their loves and dislikes, and how their previous journeys have gone, because once they become a customer, it's worth knowing a little bit more about them, because it's worth it. It's really worth it when we know how how much change is actually going on. So I hope that makes sense. Change and how we react to change is really important when it comes to looking after our clients. Now, clearly, we'd like to be in front of our ideal clients. And essentially, what we're saying is we want to be in front of the right clients. And if you're here because you're not getting enough of the right clients, or perhaps you are occasionally getting the right clients, but not consistently, of these, you'll not be surprised to know, are fairly common reasons I hear. We'd like, what we'd really like is a much more even, surely our customers could approach us at set points through the year, so we can, getting clients is a more predictable thing, but it doesn't happen that way, does it? So we want to have the right people in front of us. So showing off our abilities is really just showing people how good we are. And that's really what it's about, is giving your prospective customers enough confidence. And what this leads towards is confidence. You can then personalize the service, because that is one thing that makes you different. And when you differentiate, it's about looking after the people that come to you. And one area I encourage is, once people become customers, is to get them to share their pictures and videos, because this is really, it's more than just, sharing in the joy. And we don't really have much time to discuss it today, but getting pictures and videos of what's actually happening to your clients is really important, because we all know that problem, don't we? The one where people look at a brochure, and then when they actually arrive at said destination, it's not quite as the brochure says. So relationships, therefore, is not all to do with looking after customers. You have providers who are providing said services. These are additional relationships, and you can use the information you get fed back to help develop your relationship with your suppliers as well. And it's also good to develop deeper and better relationships with them, because it's sometimes better, isn't it, to actually share with them what's actually happening to your clients, so they can develop better relationships themselves down the line. And where necessary, of course, it's about calling people out, isn't it? So if the service your customer is buying is radically different, you need to be actively being on the side of your clients, and that's what they love. That's what they're going to love, knowing that you're on their side. And this is really It's all part of this process, isn't it? And another area where it's important is where you use technology. So technology does have a role, obviously, in this day and age. And when we think of technology, we often think of companies like Amazon and Apple, and they tend to be known, well known, because they offer quick and responsive service. They operate on mobile devices. So the experience your customers have on technology is equally important, and it matters in the area where, you know, the longer you can keep them on your technology, the more likely they are to make inquiries. And another aspect of the time they spend is it's really about the moments. So if you were, for instance, promoting a trip that involved visiting lots of wineries and champagne houses, you'd clearly want to show pictures and videos of people enjoying drinking champagne, so that when it becomes their time to drink their first glass of champagne, they've already counted up all the bubbles. Not that I'm saying I like champagne. So let's try and summarize this, what we've been talking about in this section. So visibility, repeating, this is a theme, visibility really matters today because there's just so many people. So in order to make this count, you need to be looking at things that matter. You certainly need, it's more important than ever to be where your customers are. And when you personalize, you can make a difference to the service you're offering. And by being different, you can look after people more. And it's also, today, people are looking not only for a great experience, but they also need a great technical experience, a seamless experience. Now, I don't know about you, but the kind of people, the kind of clients I like to meet tend to be clients with a larger budget. And typically, then these people are nicer to work for, and they're generally nicer to be with because they're, generally speaking, they know what they want. So if this is a direction you'd like to go more in, well, you're in the right place. So let's look at what the journey might look like here. So in the arena of travel, of course, there's been many travelers over the years, and the smaller version of myself here, who visited this airport many decades ago, travel has always been important. And where I'm standing used to be known as the Queen's Building, and I'm looking down on an area where there was a tuck shop, which was very important. But the other area of great excitement was there was all these speakers around that were blaring out the conversations between the pilots and the air traffic controllers. And the view at that time had a complete 360 view of the airfield, and it was very important, very exciting. And it's a place that makes you want to travel. And journeys themselves, they're more than just physical things. They have a habit of forcing you to make decisions, places you like, when you're going to make the next journey. You know, there may be physical beginnings and endings, but once we start going on journeys, they very much become part of us. And this is a picture of an airport back in the 1970s, Dubrovnik, and this is how departure gates used to look like at one time. You could literally just wander off the street right up to the edge of the tarmac, and when it was time to depart, someone would walk down the steps, check your tickets, and you would be ushered across the tarmac. This particular aircraft had entry stairs built into the rear of the aircraft. And if there was a bit of a queue, by the time it was your turn to to get on the plane, it could be rather bouncy, these stairs. So that was, I guess, all part of the experience of this particular aircraft type. Excuse me a moment. Now, the eagle-eyed of you may have observed something that looks sort of like a bicycle. Well, it is actually fire retardant equipment. It always amuses me when I look at this, because I often wonder what the advert for this might have been like. You know, only fit people need apply. Anyway, hopefully the fire department is much improved at Dubrovnik. And journeys are as important as us. They not only inform us about what we've done, but they all also inform us about the future. When my grandfather was a younger man, he was in the Navy and a submariner, and unfortunately, I never got to know him as an adult. And one of the things I used to love to do was to sort of pretend to be the captain of a boat, and I would suggest to him that he should scrub the decks. And of course, he would just chuckle at the end of the boat. But I often wonder now what journeys he was replaying, because we all do this to a certain extent. And not only that, we replay the journeys we want to take. So how we feel about our relationship to journeys themselves are incredibly important. And as we've previously discussed, we're much more in control of our journeys than we think. Just because there are physical beginnings and endings, how we adjust and adapt to our journeys is much more in control than we think, both our journeys and the destinations we wish to reach. Hopefully, the KLM airline is now using more up-to-date aircraft than we can see here. Okay, so today the point is not to make you like me, it's to tell you the truth, and I hope that's going to be okay, because a lot of the time I'm seeing people are frankly wasting their time, because when you put a lot of effort into something and you don't get the results you're looking for, it's not great. It's not a great feeling not to have the business that you're looking for, not to have the clients that you're looking for. It can be extremely frustrating. And one thing that people say to me is that they really need a roadmap. And there are two kinds of students I come across. One are experienced people who essentially are looking for a sense of direction, a compass, and there are inexperienced people who need everything. But the reality in life is we're all somewhere in between. We need to visit most places along the way to make sure we reach the outcome we're looking for. And this is one thing you will not be surprised to know, is that the first thing we work with our students is establishing outcomes, because if you don't know where you're going, it's going to be difficult to get there. And one thing I also wish to do is to fill the gaps in those questions. So, how are customers going to find you? How many tools do you really need? Are you going to rely a lot on technology, or are you going to balance other areas? How much of the travel market do you really need to know? And does that need to be everything, or can you do this with less? And one area I find that needs attention is identifying what's working and what's not. So this is really important. How do you know you're succeeding unless you measure it? This is certainly a very important area. And we do this by having checklists and templates. And another area we work in is having a community. Now, a community is more than just extracting information from other people. It's also meeting other people. And even if said people were operating in a similar area to yourself, it's their perspectives that matter, because it's perspectives that attract clients. So their clients will be attracted by their perspectives, and yours will be attracted by yours. So it's very important to understand that there is a distinction here. So a community performs many functions to both gain knowledge and to share knowledge. And down the road, you may wish to expand your business. Now, in the traditional sense, you might think, okay, I need more people, so I will hire freelancers. You may even decide to employ people. But maybe an alternative to consider is having a team of specialists that you can plug into. The thing is, we all need to eat, don't we? We all need to sleep. And our clients might be on the other side of the world. So having the option of plugging into a team of specialists might be of use to you, something to consider. So what might the journey look like? Well, it's being shown how to set up and market a consultancy. It's enhancing it on the very first day. And the important part here is about learning and applying knowledge as you go, rather than waiting for a set period. And turning the role of turning customers into best friends is being in front of the right people to start with. And if you're willing to follow a series of steps, you could be making good money in 6 to 9 months. But in order to achieve that, we need to build you a process. And it's important to be confident, to build up your confidence whilst participating in the travel market. It's using all the tools available. It's about building relationships and using the human touch to deliver great experiences is part of this. And you clearly need to specialize in the area which you like, but one that customers actually need. And when you add up all these things together, it will enable you to craft journeys, to be able to prepare for them, to adapt to all situations, to be a responsive individual, but above all, to deliver the value that your customers are looking for. So to get a consistent flow of clients, you don't need to be the master of everything. You just need a specific process that's designed for you and a plan to generate those customers consistently. So I know that you're passionate about it. You deserve to get better results. So this is why I'm offering this opportunity today. So if you'd like me to personally help you generate a consistent flow of customers, well, you're in the right place. So in order to achieve that, I've built this roadmap. Okay, so improve your visibility. Use the power of listening. Focus on the area that means the most to you. Bring out your uniqueness. And be where your ideal clients are. In order to get that, you need a roadmap. You need steps and templates. You need to be providing feedback and giving feedback. It's about taking part in the community, and later on down the road, plugging into a team of specialists should you need them. So what are we providing in this academy? Well, it's 12 months access. It's providing all the feedback you need. It's access to all the resources you'll need. It's accountability, because we all need a little bit of a push. It's weekly calls with myself. It's access to the community I was talking about. And it's the option of access to a team of specialists down the road if you need them. And it's all for a monthly contribution. So, as I said a little while ago, if you want to find out more about it, I have 10 calls open today, and You either follow the web link below, bit.ly/traveller-discovery, or hover your phone over the QR code. And at the end of the meeting, I'll make sure that I copy the link into the chat. So just to reiterate what's inside the Academy, it's 12 months access, it's all the feedback you need, it's all the resources you need, it's the accountability, it's the weekly calls, it's access to a community, and the option of support specialists down the road. Now, because it's so important to define outcomes, what I'm doing for the first 5 people that actually join the Academy is I'm offering an additional clarity call, and it really is worth its weight in gold to establish clarity on what it is you wish to achieve, because it will form the basis of everything else that follows it. So if you want to find out about it and the Academy, then please do ask more questions. So we're coming towards the end of the webinar, and I just wanted to just summarize a few things for you. And one question I get asked is, do you need any qualifications to go find people? Well, no, you don't actually. You just need a system. And there are 2 reasons why people tend to be looking for a solution. Is one, they're struggling to find enough customers to have a sustainable business, or they have some customers sometimes, but they have periods where they don't have enough customers, a kind of feast and famine. And what they tend to be looking for is a more consistent year. Now, if you're in either of those situations, you're in the right place. And really, once you have a system, it's about developing your other skills. So your skills, you might have existing skills, you might need to learn new skills, or even simply to enhance other skills. And basically, when you do all of that together and do it well, it becomes a bit like a tap that you can turn on and off. So you turn it on when you need more clients, and you turn it off when you don't need them. And it's essentially, that's what, that's the end goal. And when you're doing this well, it's really then scaling is not a lot different from the way you set this system up. It's just the size of the bowl. So basically, we're aiming for a small tap and a small bowl. And if you wish to scale your business later, it's not too dissimilar when you go forward. Now, I should be upfront here and say, look, this Academy is not for everyone, because not everyone's willing to put in the effort. But as I was alluding to others, one of the strong drivers that leverage you have with prospective clients is to tell stories. And that's why I was mentioning about it's good to get people's pictures and videos, because out of this, these are stories waiting to be told. And it is stories above everything that persuades people that they wish to live stories like that, like you can tell them, and you can therefore be the person or company that makes it happen. And essentially, doing it well means you're known for something. But to be known for something, you first need to become that something. Now, this Academy is also not for you if you're not willing to show up for yourself, because it does require consistency. We're not selling a shiny car here. It's, when you get it on the driveway, everything's going to change. It is a system that you have to apply on a regular basis. And this is why this is a Done With You Academy. And essentially, it's about learning about this process and crossing many bridges and delivering what your version of good service is, because it's going to be different for everybody. And as far as your potential customer is concerned, is what it will look like to them is not forgetting anything that they're looking for. And when you deliver on that, they will tell you you are amazing, and they will likely follow you anywhere. So I really appreciate you joining me today, and thank you very much for taking time out of your day. I'm just going to stop sharing the screen and see if there are any questions. So if you don't have any questions now you wish to ask, that's not a problem. What I'm going to be doing is sharing a recording of today's session via email in the next day, 24 hours. And if you have any questions you've not thought about now, you are welcome to just hit reply on that email, and that will be all you need to do. So I said it was going to copy this in here, so why didn't it allow me to do it earlier? So let me just quickly tap it in for you now. So that's the link if you want to grab a call with me and ask me any questions, or to do so later. So thank you very much for joining me today. Have an amazing rest of your day, and hopefully catch you later. Bye-bye.